Good afternoon, everyone. Campbell McCrary here, Amvest Capital Live. Welcome to the Amvest Capital Inc. live webinar with Equity Metals Corporation. Equity Metals trades on the venture as EQTY and as EQMEF on the OTCQB. Do hope you'll enjoy today's program. It will be available in on-demand replay about an hour and a half after we wrap up. Some important housekeeping things to bring to your attention. Please ask a question of management. All you need to do is fill in the Ask a Question of Management tab that was just highlighted. Important links and downloads are here, so you can watch, you can download the presentation and see different links to their website and their stock page. And you can share this event with your friends in real time by playing with that. In any case, very pleased to have with us today from Equity Metals, Rob McDonald and Joe Keesis. Rob is the Vice President of Exploration, and Joe Keesis is Director and President of Equity Metals. With that, I'm going to jump in, pass it to Rob and Joe. Take us through the story, both an intro and an update. Really exciting things going on, and then we'll pick it up with the Q&A. Thanks.
Okay, very good. So I'll first go over some general information on the company and then turn it over to Rob, because he's the one that's spending most of the time in the field there on our major project, which is the Silverblink Queen project in about central western part of British Columbia. There's a photograph here of our drill rig. You can see nice topography, pretty gentle, easy to get around. We acquired basically management of the company from a little company that was struggling. They had some pretty darn interesting assets. We took a pretty hard look at it and agreed as a friendly sort of takeover of management to begin running the company. We changed the name to reflect the difference, and one of the main differences that the original group was looking to put together a small high-grade mining operation. We took a look at it. It reminded us of a project that Rob and I worked on in the Golden Triangle called Homestake Ridge. These are vein systems. They're related to porphyries. We call them intermediate sulfidation systems, without getting too much detail on the geology. But typically, districts. The veins can be highly variable, both in grade and in thickness. So we acquired ownership or at least management of the company in October of 2019 and proceeded to start drilling within about 6 months of that. And one of our first holes, hole number 10, we did come up with some pretty spectacular results on one of the targets. This is the from the Camp vein and that reddish material that you can see right in there. Can you see my arrow moving?
I don't see your arrow moving. You've got to go on the draw icon down there on the lower left-hand corner. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just use this. So basically within this area here, this is something like 56,000 grams per ton silver. So pretty darn impressive. Let's see here. Push the button. Okay, there's a bit of a lag. So forward-looking statements. We're exploration geologists, so we can't help but talk about the future because that's really what exploration is all about. So let me just go on here. So just a little bit about the company here now. So we're part of the Mannix group of companies, and we really focus on the exploration discovery aspect of the mining business. So really the early stage type things. The Mannix group itself provides us with a lot of the backroom information, financings, accounting, legal work, that sort of thing. There's a job in 9, and then one other geologist plus a number of consultants that work for us. So the advantage in this kind of a system is that we can really focus on the discovery part, which is really where we think we'll be adding value as a company. So since we took over the company, we did 2 rounds of drilling for about 48 holes for 14,000 meters. We since started our 3rd round of drilling. We've completed, let's see, at this point, a little bit more than 4,500 meters in an initial phase, with a second phase or an additional phase of about 1,000 meters planned for later this year. So one of the things that caught our attention was not only the grade, but there was a small resource that basically was put together by the time we took over the company. It's about 440,000 ounces of gold equivalent, mostly gold, silver in value, a significant portion of that in zinc, and there's also some lead and copper. So start off with a good, with a nice resource. And really what we felt by looking at it is this is really part of a much larger system. We saw a number of places where we thought we could add value pretty quickly and increase that resource. One of the things that we were able to do in this, actually the second phase of the program, is that one of the resource areas called the Camp Vein really didn't have a 43-1 resource on it. There'd been a fair amount of drilling. It was a little bit patchy and people couldn't figure out why. When we started taking a look at it in detail, it appeared to us that they were drilling the wrong way, that instead of being north-northwest trending vein set, which is what's common for the area, it's actually controlled by east-west structures. And as it turns out, there are a number of those as well on the property that haven't been prospected properly. So right at the end of our second phase of drilling, we drilled 3 holes to see if the idea might make some sense. All 3 holes hit kilo plus silver in the veins, pretty much where we thought they were. And so we started this latest phase basically to do some infill drilling based on that new orientation of the drilling on the Camp Vein, with the idea that we would turn that Camp Vein mineralization into a resource. And our first holes we just announced on the 7th of this month. And again, kilo intercepts along some of the veins that we modeled. So, that's pretty encouraging. Just a little bit of background on some of the highlights of the project here. Most of that resource is on the number 3 vein, and there are extensions of it that haven't been fully developed. I'm going to skip over that now and go to, this is really some of the most important part of what we accomplished in the last year and a half. And that's on the number 3 vein, primarily where the resource lies. One of the reasons we wanted to take a look at that is one, to verify some of the high-grade numbers, which we've done. These are over fairly narrow zones, but they're within envelopes of mineable width and mineable grade. Vein, we have found a number of very high-grade silver intercepts. So again, fairly narrow, but they're sitting within zones, envelopes of much wider areas, nice mineable widths of kilo plus silver. So very encouraging, and like I said, we're in the process of completing the drilling program to basically get a first phase resource on the Camp Vein that's 43-101 compliant. So let me there. Okay. So, the first order on when we evaluate a property is, what's the grade? What's the, is there mineable widths? Is it going to make some sense? So there are, we're satisfied with that. There are a number of other advantages, however, that really make this pretty attractive. Compared to some parts of British Columbia, certainly our experience in the Golden Triangle tells us that if you can drive someplace rather than take a helicopter, it's going to cost way less money. The logistics in this area, there's road access. It's on the east side of the high coast range, so it's in a bit of a snow shadow. So instead of 10 meters of snow on the ground in the winter, there's maybe a meter of snow on the ground. We basically drilled all through last winter, at least until the end of February. So it really lowers the cost of exploration and greatly expands the exploration season. So that's great. You don't need to have 3 rigs to get a reasonable amount of information. You have a long enough field season to get results and then follow up on them. So starting off with a high-grade resource and some of the other advantages, we were pretty excited about this property. In addition, there was some underground development. There was a little bit of production on the northwest corner of one of the veins, the number 3 vein, but there was a significant amount of development work done. And there's about 9 kilometers of underground workings. So they're all flooded now, but those can be dewatered if we need to get in to do bulk sampling and additional drilling on deeper levels of the deposit. In addition, being a junior, and primarily explorers, it's important who surrounds us. And this part of BC has a number of mining companies, both mid-tier and majors. And so that gives us the opportunity potentially for joint venture partners or acquisition. Oops, I keep pushing the wrong button there. There we go. So, this is when we started the drilling. 2020 had a series of very good drill intercepts to report. We finished up the drilling the end of February. Results kind of coming out as time that gold or silver and gold prices were dropping. So, we're down back up to maybe in this level here. So this is still quite a very good place to, get an introduction in shares to the company. You look at the market cap right now, we're somewhere in the $10 million range. So as I think we're hoping to show you, that's pretty low value for the quality that we have. The directors and management, some of the Mannix group of people and other companies, a mixture of legal, accounting, engineering, and geology. So like I mentioned, we're located here with Silver Queen, sort of on the western side, about midway up of British Columbia. There are several other very interesting assets in the company. 2 assets are 2 diamond projects up here in the Northwest Territories. These are pretty interesting. They've got a number of known diamond-bearing kimberlites. We're within 40 kilometers of 2 active diamond mines, Diavik and EQTY. And, the last few years have been pretty rough on diamond prices, but in the last 12 months, there's been a significant improvement. I was reading in an article yesterday, 2 days ago, that the 2 biggest diamond producers are De Beers and Alrosa, a Russian company, and each of those sold about 13.5 million carats in the last 12 months. However, each of those only mined about half of that, a little more than half of that, 7.2 to 7.5 million carats. So, the inventory is being drawn down pretty darn quickly. Currently, that's the case with other operators as well. A number of large mines that are diamond bearing or that have been producing diamonds for many years are shutting down in Australia, South Africa. So, it's time maybe to start looking at the opportunity for the company here. There are a couple of other assets within the company. We have a royalty on a pretty large portion of the Kenwood district. So there's a group that's prospecting that right now. They just got their drilling permit, so that might be some income for us at some point. And we have a silica property in Saskatchewan, and it's pretty interesting because in the electric world right now, silicon is being looked at as an additive for the anodes in electric batteries. So there's some issues in doing that, but they think that will extend the life of batteries significantly. So there's quite a bit of interest in that. This property was originally acquired, I believe, for sort of the fracking industry, but it's quite easily mined. It's very friable. It's very clean. It's 95% according to some limited data that we have, and some of the material that would bring it up to basically silicon level, or at least feed for silicon, is going to be clay. So that's relatively easy to wash out. So those are some other assets within the company that we're going to take a look at. Primarily right now, though, we're focusing on the Silverblink Queen project. It's located near the town of Houston. There's a good road system. This is paved gravel road down to the Huckleberry mine, surrounded by mid-tier and large companies, Imperial Metals, Newmont, and Teck, for example. Surge Copper has a large position here as well. So when we see the property, primarily the resource was developed in here. The green are the underground workings. So this is the number 3 vein. Most of the resource that we've identified, or was identified when we took over, is located on this vein system here. The camp vein is located here, so it's very close by. In fact, there's the decline into the deeper part of the number 3 vein. So this is pretty attractive. There's about 9 kilometers of underground workings, like I said. Just a quick look at some photographs. We saw this one right in the front piece. This is the access. The camp is located out here. This is the gate. So it's easy to get to. You can get around very easily, and that's a big advantage when we look at exploring a property like this. It also hides a lot of potential sex appeal in new veins, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's where I'm going to turn it over to Rob to start talking about some of the details of the property.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joe, and thank you all for joining us in this presentation of Equity Metals at the Equity Metals Company. So at Silver Queen, during the previous management had commissioned a mineral resource that essentially was published, I think it was within a week of our group taking over management of the company. And this has left us with a very solid resource base upon which to build on, upon which to grow. And that is the ultimate focus of our work on the Silver Queen project. Take the resource base that we have, high grade, and continue to expand and grow it, double it, or triple it in due time. So the resource, the maiden resource on the company was, or on the project, sorry, was 440,000 gold equivalent ounces. And this was about 65% of that value, which is in gold and silver. And it breaks down into roughly 50-50 indicated and inferred tons, with the tonnage totaling 1.6 million tons. And what we really liked about it was the high grade potential here. So you're seeing in the indicated category a 9.3 gold equivalent, and in the inferred category a 7.5 gold equivalent. So we believe that this provides, again, an excellent stepping stone for further work and further resource growth on the project. Now, most of that resource was on the number 3 vein, which sits in here, and a little bit in the NG3, this little corner of the NG3. And so what we've shown in this graphic is the distribution of historic drill holes, and they are the little gray dots. You have in the blue dots are the distribution of our drill holes since we started exploring or drilling on the project in 2020. And then the red lines, the red line work, is the distribution and our tracking of the known veins that are identified on the property. And one thing that you'll notice here is that there are 2 main trends. There's a northwest-southeast trend, and you can see that here in the number 3 vein, George Lake, and up in the Coal Lake vein. And then you start seeing some more east-west trends. And then some that are almost seem to be a little bit between them. But effectively, you're getting this series of cross structures and an interaction at major breaks like the number 3. And so, in effect, we've identified the camp vein. We've identified an east-west, a strong east-west influence on the distribution of the veins in the camp target. And we believe that they will track to the east into the number 3 vein, through the connector, and then into the NG3 system. This ends up being around a 2.5 kilometer strike, and is now the main target that we have for expanding the mineral resources. Our main focus to date has been the camp vein. We've completed 33 holes over 8,000 meters on the camp vein, and as it transitions into the number five, we've completed 15 holes on the number 3 and parts of the NG3, and it's the drilling on the NG3 system vein that has us, fairly encouraged in that we've got about another 700 meter strike length extending from the known mineralization at NG3, extending more east-west in this fashion. So we have here right now a lot of exploration potential on the project. We have a resource base in here in the number 3 vein, and lots of other near surface targets to continue growing and drilling out this resource. So in a little bit more detail, what we've done at the camp vein is that we had original interpretations were more of a northwest southeast system, similar, maybe sub-parallel to the number 3 vein. We identified some east-west veins in some of the historic drafts and reports that were identified in some of the old workings, some of the workings from the 1970s. And so we looked at projecting an east-west trend through this area. We identified 1, 2, 3, 4 main zones of or veins of mineralization, sub-veins of mineralization, as well as there being some hanging wall mineralization that hasn't been totally modeled out, as well as some footwall mineralization that hasn't been modeled out. So we went back in this fall with the intent of drilling off. This is around a 250 meter strike length. We had previously traced mineralization down to around 175 meters. And so the idea was to effectively drill out this zone and then start systematically extending to the east and systematically extending down dip. With our latest drilling, we've now extended mineralization to around 225 meters below surface in at least 2 areas, and we've extended veins and mineralization probably an additional 50 to 80 meters to the east. So that's where we are now. There's still some exploration to be done in the hanging wall, still some exploration to be done in the footwall, and significant amount as we continue tracing mineralization laterally from the camp vein in this area through to the number 5, into the switchback, and eventually into the NG3. Again, an entire strike length of around 2.5 kilometer strike. And just to take a step back in the number 3 vein, this is where the mineralization or the mineral resource is located. We have it color-coded here with high-grade mineralization indicated in the magenta and red. So magenta is greater than $400 NSR value. The red is greater than $500 NSR value. And so you can see 3 main accumulations of higher grade mineralization. We tested those with some earlier drill holes and have now started the process of extending them down here in this fashion, as well as to the southeast into the NG3 area. And so with these 2 holes, 24 and 25, in this area, we've now identified about a 200 plus meter down dip extension of the NG3. And as I said, we project this some continuity from historic drilling to extend at least 700 meters laterally. So again, another brand new target to test here. And so that's really it. We have an historic property with over 100 years of exploration and development on it. We have an initial resource estimate that provides an excellent building block, 440,000 gold equivalent ounces. About 65% of that is in gold and silver, so precious metal enriched veins. Of note, the drilling in the camp vein, where we've just completed another 4,500 meters of drilling. That's primarily silver. It's very silver enriched. About 90% of the value is in the silver. So our additions, this is where we're going to focus on building new resources and continue to extend our exploration potential. The new resources will have a higher, much higher component of silver mineralization, and will increase the precious metal component of any resources that we build upon. We have a high-grade gold-silver resource growth profile. So it's the addition of the camp vein mineralization. That's those 4 veins that I showed you earlier in the presentation. We look to expand the resource into the 1 to 1.5 million gold equivalent range. So that would be a significant milestone. We believe we're on track. We have more drilling to do, but we think with some additional drilling in the fall of this year, that we can get that going and be ready to produce a 43-101 update, mineral resource update, late in the first quarter or early second quarter of 2022. Because of the underground development that exists on the project, there is always the ability for a fast track to production. At this point, we're having a look and seeing how big this project can be, but when the time is right, we believe we can move quickly to moving this through a permitting phase and towards a production decision. As well, we have the Monument and WO diamond properties in the Northwest Territories. These have some potential value, and with the recent increase in diamond prices over the last 6 to 9 months, we think we are going to start looking at this and looking at the potential opportunities to add value to the company through further diamond exploration. We also have, as Joe has mentioned, the silica properties, as well as the Greenwood royalty. So there's lots of things packaged within the equity company, and lots of things and lots of elements that we can take advantage of over the coming months and years, not the least of which is near-term resource growth of high-grade gold and silver mineralization. Thank you very much. Any questions? There we go. There's the question slide. Hello?
What's your cash position again?
We're sitting now at probably just under $1 million. And so we are going to be looking at doing a financing, announcing that fairly shortly. So there will be opportunities to participate in an upcoming financing with the company. We will be working with Amvest on that. And so you can always keep in touch either with us directly or through Campbell and his crew as we move forward with that initiative.
Resource update this Q4, is that reasonable?
We're likely looking at the end of Q1 2022 or the very beginning of Q2. At this point, we've got another 5,000 meters of drilling that we want to complete on the veins. That should leave us in good stead to do the resource update. And we have to get a little bit of metallurgy done just to verify the recoveries out of the very silver enriched veins. And so that'll probably leave us in the second quarter of 2022 in terms of that timing. In the meantime, we've just completed what's just under 5,000 meters of drilling, 4,500 meters of drilling on the camp vein and extending into the number 5. We've just released some initial results from that. We have more assays in the can, and we should be looking at excellent news flow through the fall and well into the winter of 2022. Lots to look forward to.
Good. What is the Silver Cream property ownership status?
It's 100% owned by Equity Metals.
Okay.
There are no royalties, no retained royalties on.
No royalties.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think this question is getting at. Can you talk to the mineralogy of both the existing resource and the camp vein?
Well, the existing resource, again, we're looking at, it is actually fairly simple mineralogy. We are seeing sphalerite, chalcopyrite, and galena as the main base metals. You then get some sulfur type type minerals, and that seems to be associated more with the gold and silver mineralization. This is a little bit different from the camp vein in that we're seeing a greater percentage of silver-bearing minerals in the camp vein. So yes, you see some of the same mineralogy, the same base metal mineralogy, but you're seeing a lot more of the sulfur salts and a lot higher silver content in the camp vein. As I said, in terms of the metal distribution within the number 3 versus the camp vein, you're seeing about 65% of the value in the NSR calculation of the number 3 vein being within gold and silver, with probably a slight bias to gold or a bit more of a bias to gold. Whereas in the camp vein, it's very little gold. It's a tremendous amount of silver and about 90% of the in situ value that we're seeing. We don't have NSRs or anything like that calculated for the camp vein, but over 90% of the in situ value is with silver, is being carried in silver in the camp vein.
Now that you're focusing on the camp vein, number 5 vein, are you going to complete metallurgical testing here?
Yes, we have a contract metallurgist that is that has helped us on this project and other projects, and yes, we will be getting some metallurgy completed, likely in the early part of Q1.
What exploration, geophysical, or geochemical might help you discover new potential vein systems in the area and define drill targets?
Well, we have done some initial reconnaissance soil sampling over some key areas on the property. We had some interesting, very positive results. We're going to go back with some offset lines and get them completed in the late October timeframe, and that has provided some benefit. We're still evaluating that because, again, this is a fairly long-lived property, and so we have to be a little bit careful about previous disturbance and whatnot. But we're looking at doing some more soil sampling on the property, basically through this area and up through here. So up here and then down in this area, down here. And then we have flown close-spaced mag over this part of the property, this corner of the and actually over a slightly broader area of the property. So we have some evaluation of that. It's points us a little bit more towards some of the porphyry potential. You do see the number 3 vein. Some of these other cross structures a little bit more difficult to pick out, but they clearly exist. And where the mag survey, the geophysical surveys, they come in a little bit more, are looking a little bit further down the road at the porphyry potential of the property. These systems are big composite systems. We've got a vein system distributed over 6 square kilometers in this area. And then as you head to the south, you start picking up stronger porphyry-styled or alteration and some mineralization. And then we have here what's called the Itzit porphyry. So that's just right in this area. That tends to have more copper and molybdenum background mineralization. And we believe that some of the geophysics might be more helpful in unraveling some of those questions than of some of the veins.
Just a comment here, you can see all the drill holes. There were a lot of kind of shallow, spotty drill holes on some of these other veins, and some of them have intersected some pretty interesting mineralization that was never offset. So, there's some real sort of low-hanging fruit for us to test just by offsetting some of that, some of those areas. We have, 40 sites, I guess, permitted right now. So that would be even beyond the 10,000 that we're talking about drilling over the next several months.
Okay, fantastic. And before I pass this over to Adam, there was some talk, financing talk. Please just note this call is most definitely for informational purposes only, strict marketing call. And now I will give you your slide back and Adam Graff. Adam, go ahead.
Hey guys, so it looks like clearly while gold and silver are dominant in the veins, there's significant base metals here that have to be dealt with. Are there any local mills in the area that you could deliver the ore to? Does that make sense economically, considering this is as you know it right now, a pretty small high grade type of project?
There's not much that I know of at this point. I mean, a number of the historic mills in the area would have been for large porphyry deposits like the Huckleberry and Daco, Grand Isle, although I don't think there's anything at Grand Isle anymore. Mount Milligan is an active project, but that's a little ways away. The EQTY silver mill and mine has been shut down for several decades. So there's probably less opportunity there. We are, however, quite close to, let's see, do we have, yeah, right there. We are quite close to Highway 16, which runs right up through northern British Columbia. It's the main highway to northern British Columbia. We're connected by road via the town of Houston. So you come down along here and then down there on the road to Huckleberry, effectively. So that brings us adjacent to rail lines at Houston, and then that can bring us to either Deepwater Tidewater at Rupert, Prince Rupert, or into the rail system further south if we were to move further south.
So, Adam, I don't think this is anything real complicated. It's probably flotation as far as the mill. As far as the smelting, well, that's another issue. And just like all the polymetallic deposits, you have to find a mill or
but you're gonna, but you're probably gonna have to have, a three-con mill, and it's a, right now it's, small and high grade, and so you're probably going to be a pretty, maybe as you know it right now, granted things could change, a pretty small operation, 100, 200 tons a day. And you're going to have a, that mill is going to be a, a little small mill, but, making 3 cons, I'm just trying to think about the practicalities there. Maybe there's, maybe there's a certain tonnage that you guys have in mind to get to in order to justify the likely, little mill that you guys would have to put up there. Or a producer would have to put up there.
Yeah, I mean, really, in these kind of systems, it can be quite hard.
Resource up to that million to 1.5 million gold equivalent range. I mean, this would then start pushing the total tonnage probably into the 4 to 5 million ton range if you get up to 1.5, based on the average grades of the number 3 deposit. So that starts getting to be a fairly sizable potential operation, and then given the NSR values of the number 3 vein, some of the higher grade is at that $400 or $500 range. That can be I think that could be a fairly substantial mine. We look at possible comparables of being for example, the Silvertip project in northern British Columbia in terms of.
I don't know the Rob. I don't know that the equity mine, equity silver mine. What was that mine?
Well, it was a silver project. It was more bulk tonnage. It was active in the 90s. I've forgotten right off the top of my head what the exact production was of it, but at one point it was the largest silver producer in British Columbia for several years.
Is that do you think that's there's a relationship between that property and yours? Is it close enough? Is it the same rocks? I mean, and normally as you go east to west, you change. You don't know if you change regimes per se, but you're very likely to go out of the rocks you're in into something, into some other terrain as you go east or west to east.
Well, what we have here is that both of those projects are located off of the northern edge of the Nechako Plateau, and that's basically a tertiary pile of volcanic rocks, primarily volcanic rocks, that cover over the earlier Cretaceous rocks that are exposed at Silver Queen and at Equity Silver. So both Equity Silver and Silver Queen are these windows into
the Cretaceous.
Into these Cretaceous, which is sort of by definition one of the characteristics of the Skeena Arch. And so it's the Skeena Arch, which and it forms the break between the Bowser Basin up in this area and the Nechako Plateau, which are younger sedimentary rocks. And it's this upthrown block of Cretaceous and older rocks, some of them getting down now into the Jurassic. I believe the Sun Summit mineralization may be host to the north, and the CR project to the north are actually hosted in Hazelton Jurassic rocks. So these are upthrown blocks of Mesozoic age rocks that are hosting some of these vein systems and potential porphyry systems a little bit further to the north.
Gotcha. Let's see. Just some
point out is that one of the gangue minerals is barite, especially in the high grade material. So there's a potential for some gravity separation to further enhance the grade.
Okay. What is the cost to dewater the existing development infrastructure, and does it make sense to do that and then potentially use that, or to try to expand those those resources that are associated with the existing development infrastructure?
That will be something that we will be doing in due course. At this point, let's see if we have it. There we go. Yeah, we have a tailings facility down in this area. We are in the process now of making sure that gets properly recommissioned. It's monitored right now, but we have some geotechnical work that has to get done later this fall. That can then bring this into compliance. We then will have to permit dewatering and have that done, and then we'll be in a position to make a decision about going back underground and the utility of that, and when is the right time to do that. At this point, as Joe has mentioned, we have a lot of mineralization sitting relatively close to surface that has seen historically some fairly widely spaced drilling, and so there really does appear to be some low-hanging fruit where we can go in and at our cash costs in the fall are I mean, I think our direct bill from the drillers is just over $100 a meter. Our all-in costs, when you look at fully running the camp and support and all of that, runs us probably just over $200 a meter. And so you can get, for bang for your buck, you can get a lot done up there drilling relatively shallow, with relatively shallow drill holes, throughout the property. And we've got excellent access through the property here. You can see that there was some very shallow drilling done in the switchback area, similarly in the number 5. So there's the switchback, there's the number 5. We've identified a nice soil anomaly just in the footwall of the switchback, and our belief is that this may reflect that same set of 4 veins that we've identified in the camp vein and project further to the east. So we're quite excited about getting back onto the property and essentially drilling out basically this entire strike length as we approach the number 3 vein. It just seems that we see clear potential of these veins just simply progressing to the east, and so that's going to be on the docket for later this month and through the month of November.
One other thing, Adam, I'll just bring this slide up here. These type of systems, typically there's a particular horizon of elevation that the mineralization drops out. The hole that we drilled down in this area here was not very well mineralized, so somewhere in this area could be the bottom. So rather than spend a lot of money to get basically to this level to do that underground testing, it gets back to the question that, or the answer that Rob just gave you, is that this would be expensive drilling as opposed to some of the other targets, which from the surface in particular are very easy to get to from surface. So it's a function of where you want to get the mineralization. This is going to be years and down the road from production. Whereas more shallow deposits that are, basically haven't been outlined yet, that I think gives us a lot more value to the property.
And, can you give us an idea from your drilling of the camp vein so far that the sort of the tenor, the tons you think you can put together on an inferred basis and the average widths?
I think we would want to do a little bit of modeling before we could be definitive on that. What we have here were some shapes that we constructed about 9 months ago, based on some of the historic drilling. We wanted to come in and confirm that with our own drilling, and in part because of quality control of the historic drilling, it will be more difficult to use that in any resource update. And so we need to refine these a little bit. We have in quite a number of holes, we're able to demonstrate the projections, the lateral projections and down dip projections of multiple veins in those holes. So we're very confident that the model is holding up. And in terms of our ultimate objective, I'd like to be adding somewhere, another 1 million tons, or somewhere in that vicinity, maybe a little bit plus, a little bit minus, and again, high grade, so something over 500 gram per ton silver equivalent, maybe maybe up towards the 1,000 or 800 or something like that. That's what I'd like to do. But I can't tell you right now, based on this last round of drilling, and we don't have all the assays back, exactly how all of that pulls together into these latest sets of veins that we've identified.
Are there native groups that have claims to the area, that being, BC and all, and do you guys have understandings with those native groups, if there are any?
There are. It is the Wet'suwet'en bands, the Wet'suwet'en Nation, and we have had conversations with them and are continuing to work with them on our relationships. Just 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we had representatives from the office of the Wet'suwet'en, based out of Smithers, down on the project. They have a new referrals coordinator, so this was a little bit of an educational trip to the project. We forwarded back some information materials just in general on mineral exploration, because her background was actually in forestry. And so, yeah, we're taking the steps to engage and to develop long-standing relationships with the local First Nations.
Very good. Let me pass it back to Campbell to see if there are any additional questions from the audience.
Let me have a look. Guess it was one coming in, local mills that could deliver the ore to.
I asked that one already.
Yeah, got that. Okay. No. Anyone else have any other questions? Artie?
Let me ask a quick one. When we look at the different veins, so far, what is the most deepest, how many meters you could trace a vein most, down deep and along strike?
Okay. In the number three, we've been able to trace mineralization, I think, in the 350 to 400 meter range. Historic drilling. Okay, there. Actually, I guess it's probably best if I just go back to this in here. Yes. So our drilling down here in the which tested the number 3 vein, that was in that 350 to 400 meters below surface, probably about 350. Our deepest vein intercepts, although we're still pending some assay results from the camp vein, are around 225, and mineralization remains open at depth and open on each side, both west and east in the camp vein. And so that would be the camp vein there, the number 3 vein there. And we know certainly from historic drilling in the NG3 that there is gold and silver enriched mineralization at least 400, maybe 450 meters below surface in the NG3 system. And throughout here, you're seeing intercepts that, in this area, down towards 200 meters in historic drilling. All of this in this area is relatively shallow. And one of the deepest intercepts, which did contain some precious metals, but have a higher base metal component, are up in the Coal Lake areas, and they came in, I think it was over 450 meters below surface. So it's one of the really unique things about this vein system is that you are seeing strongly enriched precious metals extending for upwards of 500 meters, from surface to depth, which for an epithermal vein system is pretty incredible. And so this is one of the reasons why we're very encouraged by seeing the shallow mineralization, over in these areas, and our ability to continue tracing it down dip like we have in the number 3 and like we are doing now in the campaign.
Thank you. Campbell?
Sure. Want to thank everyone for tuning in and for checking out Equity Metals. Again, this is strictly marketing non-deal event today. This event will be available on demand in about an hour, and please share your feedback right now or in the when you exit or in one of the emails, and pass it back to Joe and Rob to give us a good close. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for listening to the story. We think we're advancing it, and appreciate those. I saw some names that we've seen in previous, presentations, and I hope to have demonstrated that we're making some significant progress on this property.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Bye.
All right. Thanks so much.